Yes,
Wonderful.
okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone who has joined us and is listening in, and thank you to our panelists. My name is Maria Nikolakakis, and I am with my colleague Cleon here, and we have the winners of our 2021 jury award winning film directors with us. We have Dimitra Kuzi with Passage to Europe. We have Thelyia Petraki, who did the short Bella, and we have Siamak Etemadi, who did the feature Pari. So I want to just basically, I will stop talking for right now, and I want to basically turn it over to all of you. And my first question really to all of you is introduce yourselves to us, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and tell us about what motivated you to make the specific film that you made. What inspired you to make your individual films? Who would like to go first?
You might have to choose, Maria.
Okay, I'm going to go with Thelyia. Thelyia.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Thelyia Petraki, and I directed Bella, it's short film Bella. And my main inspiration for this film was some letters I found a few years ago. Not to be exact, some letters that they were given to me. There were 40 letters that belonged to a woman named Anthi that I never met because she passed away, I don't know, 50 years ago. But when I read these letters, when I started reading these letters, I couldn't stop reading them. They were really, they made me feel many emotions, different emotions, and many images came to my head. And they made me want to share these images with the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Great. Dimitra.
Yes, hello, my name is Dimitra Kuzi. I'm a Greek director. Passage to Europe is actually my first film, or could I say my second? Or I mean, this is a debate. It started with Good Morning, Mr. Fotis, which was my actual film, 70 minutes. And then during the pandemic, I thought that I should rethink everything after 2 awards and 2 reviews and a public open screening in the winter in Greece with jackets and north wind. I thought that I might have to look at my film again and re-edited the film. So I created Passage to Europe 48 minutes. From a long film, I made a short film. I did everything vice versa. So it's about a teacher who is in downtown Athens, very near where I live, and his diverse class in an area where we normally don't go through, although it's in the very, very center, Omonia place. It's a fascinating area. I was always intrigued by these neighborhoods, and actually I felt like rediscovering all that through this person who also is a person who is very inspiring on how he looks up to things and how he approaches people. It's very rare to find people who have this vision and this point of view on the kids he teaches and on the world he is living in. He's kind of old-fashioned, and I really miss that, this old-fashioned Greek with different values, let's say. So this was all in a lot of things which motivated me to go out of my own bubble 5 kilometers away and dig in an area and visit a school every day for a long period, and observing these kids in this classroom with this teacher and spending time with them and getting to know them, and then spread the word, what I observed to the world by my film.
Yeah, and how did you choose education, a teacher, students, that school? How did that, versus many other topics that could have come from that environment?
Yes, okay, this is true. It's a combination. It's because he's in this area, which is a rather dark area in some terms, especially during night. It's a difficult area, let's say, to live with very diverse people, and was always like this. It's always like this in the heart of a city, the back streets, let's say, the streets behind. So he's very light, and what he does is very light. So this appealed to me. And on the other hand, I met him through a program I'm organizing for kids and young audiences, where he was coming as a viewer with his class, and he immediately stick out of everything I've seen by now. So I'm objective that he's very special, because
so you had a personal reaction. Yeah. Okay.
I've seen many teachers like coming to our program in the Benaki Museum and watching films with their kids and pupils. So he was sticking out, and I asked him. Actually, I heard him how he was interacting with his kids during the after the screening, and I asked him, "Can I visit you in the school?" I didn't remember where the school was, because many teachers come, and he said, "Yes, this is the address, and please come. So come on Wednesday." And so I went.
Yeah.
And when I went, I was like, "Okay, this is it." So I went many weeks every day.
Got it. Yeah.
Dimitra, is that the Kinder Docs that you talked about, that you developed, that you started?
Yes,
okay.
It is Kinder Docs, yes.
Great. Dimitra, thank you. Siamak.
Yeah, I'm Siamak Etemadi. I am a Greek Iranian, actually, which is nice to take part in a Greek American festival. I was born and raised in Tehran, and I moved to Athens when I was in my early 20s. And for most of my life, I've lived in Greece. So I'm totally like half-half. My cinematic life was fully developed in Greece. I studied here. I've worked here for many years, and as assistant director, sometimes an actor. And this is my first feature film. And the story, more or less, is, let's say, inspired by my own personal experiences, in the sense that the story is also about an Iranian couple who arrives in Athens to visit their son, who is a student here. And when they don't find him and he doesn't show up at the airport, they end up searching the city, and it becomes a way, it's a journey of self-discovery that I've always felt about my life back in Iran and also in Greece. So in very short term, this is the story, and this is why I am.
Yeah, it was definitely a story of self-discovery for sure. Yeah. Great. So tell us a little bit about what were some of the challenges that you all faced in making your film? Of course, we're in COVID right now. I don't know at what point you finished filming, at what point COVID started and all that. But in general, speak to us a little bit about what challenges you faced in making your film. And I'm going to go backwards this time. Siamak, I'm going to start with you.
You meant in general or in this COVID era?
However you want to define whatever challenges you encountered.
I mean, okay, to do cinema, as we jokingly say in Greece, is a difficult sport. Greeks say sport, which means that it's a hard job anyway. And so this is something that we take for granted. I mean, we want to do films, it requires a lot of money, and of course, it takes a lot of energy and money and everything. And so from beginning, we accept that as a fact. Maybe I can add to that, if it's your first feature film, you have a lot of convincing to do before, I guess, justify it, because it involves a lot of money. You have to convince people that you can actually pull it off. And that was a challenge for us, let's say. It took us more or less about 5 years to develop the project, from the idea to getting the finances and to do the film. Apart from that, the rest is, in my personal experience, has been a positive experience. I mean, there are a lot of good professionals in Greece. To make films compared to other European countries, still cheaper here. So you can have really good professionals with affordable, you can really afford it, and they bring a lot of value to the work you do. maybe the COVID area challenge was that, well, we finished the filming and everything before COVID. We launched it in last year's Berlin Film Festival, which was a good launch, but then afterwards, everything was shut down. So that was like a in-between situation that we were at least lucky enough to have that screening. And then, but after that, we had to kind of accept this new reality. It's been, you know, especially for this kind of more independent art house films, festivals are very important, both as a means for reaching the audience, but also as us filmmakers who come in contact with different audience and learn about projects and how it communicates with people. And unfortunately, for example, for me, that's what I missed. I could not share this experience with audience in different parts of the world. So I still really, I do appreciate that you guys are still strongly going despite all the difficulties, and the film is reaching these different corners of the world. That's it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, great, great, thank you. Dimitra, what challenges did you encounter?
Yes, the challenges. I mean, like, I finished my film and it premiered in Thessaloniki during the first lockdown. I mean, like, the festival was postponed. And since I work in the, let's say, I'm not, it's my first film, but I have all my other activities are around documentaries. So I knew and I know how it is to have an audience. I work with audience development or audiences, and it was really tough not to have this interaction with the people. And I noticed that, especially when we did this open air screening in Galaxidi, where I spent the COVID period with 40 people who were brave enough to come in the winter and sit outside and watch the film. It was a completely whole different experience. And this was the trigger for me to, you know, think about different things and do all that stuff and re-edit the film, etc. So I mean, like, an audience has such a power and is so important for a maker, for a documentary or a fiction filmmaker. So I think that this is the biggest challenge, because I mean, of course, the lack of resources and all that stuff, and the environment, which is very difficult around filmmaking in general in Greece. But on the other hand, as Siamak said, we have great professionals, and there is a good collaboration with others, and it's still cheaper than in other countries. Still it's, you know, this homemade situation is an issue on one hand. On the other hand, I mean, like, the making of the film was really a great journey for me. It was every day a new experience, and all these decisions I had to make. This was for me a growing situation. Like, I grew out of it, because I really had to make so many decisions, because in documentary it's different. You really have a person which you not really control. You know what you get, but you don't know what the situation is. It's not a set. So this is fascinating, of course, and it's also difficult to decide on the spot. So I would say that this was for me the biggest challenge, to be precise, be active, let's say, and 100% there all the time. Go to school every day and observing in the beginning, and then bring the camera, so that the kids are used to me being one piece in the environment. I had no problems to get permission from the parents and from the ministry. This was amazing that they gave me this permission. It's very rare that they give permission to shoot in a public school in Greece. I think it's perhaps the first time, or I don't want to exaggerate, but very few permissions like this are given. So this, all that was not a real challenge. At the moment, I had the trust of the school, which supported me, and I was one piece working with them every day. The challenge was to make this happen, and then lose, let's say, the opportunity to interact with the audience. So I really appreciate the fact that you do this now and give us the chance to speak up and get the contact. It is very important, because you make the films because you see something and immediately you want to show it, let's say. And if this is not there, then it is really strange. Yeah.
So Dimitra, a follow-up question for you. Your film was about children, about kids. Perhaps that was a challenge in itself to film, to work with kids. How was that?
It was, but again, the moment they trusted me, after spending many days and hours in their classroom, and we made, let's say, they've been asked, do you want to be part of this? Do you want to do this journey, let's say? Do you want? And the moment they said, yes, we want, we set up some rules, let's say, or try to set up some rules, like explain the camera and all that stuff, but don't look in the camera. So I had a whole school which should not look at the camera, 140 people. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And how they played and how they didn't looked, how they adapted, and how they wanted the world to see what is going on in the school with all these different nationalities, different languages, different backgrounds, different cultures, so many colors, let's say, in a courtyard. And I really appreciated that. But again, the school supported me a lot. All the teachers, they helped. It was amazing. I would do it again tomorrow morning.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that answer. Thelyia, tell us about your challenges, if any.
I'm going to be short, because I think the biggest challenge in Greece in general, as Siamak said, and Dimitra, it's the money. But then again, the money creates a mentality, a certain mentality in Greece, that everybody, okay, we do have great professionals, people that have skills and have the energy. But then again, if you don't have the money if you don't if you don't give them the money that they deserve, then they can leave anytime they want. They can do whatever they want. They're not going to work properly, and they're not going to give you what you need for the film, which is inevitable. But then again, we do have people that they don't work as professionals. They work, they give their soul and then energy, and they love filmmaking so much. So this is where the mentality again works on our favor in Greece, even though sometimes you have backdrops by it. So I think this is a very peculiar, it's a very Greek characteristic, which is derived by the money, the lack of money, I think. That's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we have noticed that through the years, if I may interact here, that I'm talking with different directors, how creative you guys are with money or lack of money. I mean, I've seen people say, hey, I have a generator on lights. I know you're shooting a night scene. I'll let you borrow my generator on lights and you can write the music for me. I'm making a short or something like that. There's a lot of borrowing, a lot of volunteering between you guys that you do. And you guys are creating phenomenal things with all the what I call unsung heroes. I mean, all of you are, of course, but you also behind you have a tremendous number of group of people that they help you put the film up that is lacking nothing to compete worldwide, we feel, in the film industry.
Yeah.
So I have one more question, and then we'll take a slightly different direction here. But I really would like to know, in your own words, what message do you want people to take away from your film? Thelyia, we're going to start with you since you were last.
It's not exactly a message, it's a feeling. I wanted people to feel hopeful and to feel that they are allowed to feel emotional and sentimental, even though we live in a very cynical world. That's what I wanted to offer to the people.
Okay. Dimitra, what message do you want your film to leave people?
You know, I wouldn't really like to say a word to describe it, because, you know, documentaries have the tendency to are topic oriented and message oriented, and it's at the end it is a film. And I think that the light is for me very important, that you have the feeling of hope and light and colors and life, above all struggles on one hand, and on the other hand that you have to look what is going on in this world and not just turn your head because you live in your own bubble.
Yeah.
Not as a punishment, no, but as a feeling of being aware and being interested and being empathic for what is going on in the world.
Okay.
Empathetic.
Siamak?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky question, in the sense that, you know, when the movie is out, it's out of you, so, and it communicates with the audience independently. And sometimes when you say something and someone tells you, but this is not what I understood from your film, this is, your film touched me in this way, and you don't want to ruin that experience. So I can't really say that I wanted any message. I can share with you what was on my mind and what I was searching for myself, which was, for a big part, is a question of identity, because being as an Iranian Greek, most of my life, I kind of have had these questions, what it means, who I am, or who anybody is who doesn't live in the country that they were born in, or if they have backgrounds in another culture, they end up in a new country, they speak a new language. And I just wanted to ask this question and push it as far as I could, that what happens to you when all these layers of identity that you have, let's say either it's your cultural background, it's your language, even your identity as a mother or father, through events that are outside your control, more or less, are taken away, and then you're left with what it could possibly be the core of your character, and how you build from there. And that was the question that I had on my mind when I was thinking of the film, and when I was kind of going through the emotions that either I had or was trying to put in the scenes and everything.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Cleon, would you like to take over a little bit?
I have a few questions, nothing hard. For the whole panel, for everybody, I would like, I mean, we know Greece has opened up the borders in terms of filmmaking. They're trying to attract foreign investments, bring in films from the outside, pay back a percent of the sales back to the movie production, stuff like that. And movies like coming out from Disney that they're going to try to create with Yanya Atentocumbo, with the Knives Out, all those different things. Do you guys see that as a positive, as a negative, as a challenge thing to you, as something that is going to create a more competition with you? How do you see that? Can we start with Thelyia? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Europe.
I see it as a very positive thing. I think it's a great opportunity for the Greek cinema field to expand and to become industry. And in that way, people are going to be, the crew is going to be able to train more. And of course, jobs are going to be offered for many people, and yeah, I see it as a very positive thing. I think it's going to work for our favor. Of course, for at the beginning, we're going to face some issues that we're gonna have to solve them, like many big productions are going to come to Greece, so they're going to absorb many people to work for them. So us that we're going to do independent films with low budget films we're going to have problem to hire people. We know that, but I think eventually more stuff is going to be appear in our field, and I think it's going to work just fine for us at the end.
Thank you. Dimitra, what do you think?
I think it's a very difficult area. I mean, like, we are very creative, very much helping each other, or not. Sometimes even it's not always the case, but I think that's the lack of a structure is still something we have to deal with. Not what is coming towards us, but we need to be more, let's say, grow and be more somehow standing on our feet and be even more professionals. That is, you first have to start with yourself, and then what is coming, it doesn't matter, let's say. It's not important if you have the environment. But this is very difficult in Greece because this is missing. So I was always looking outside and abroad. I was raised up like that, and I'm used to very much exchange and work with others. But I don't know what really the challenge would be. I mean, like Thelyia said, that more people would come, and we will have to struggle finding our way through it. But I don't know, actually. I mean, like, at the end, when we close this Zoom, everybody will struggle to find the budget for their next film, or the crew and the circumstances. And this is the situation in Greece. So, yeah.
Siamak?
I would say, yeah, I think I would agree with Thelyia that in the sense that it inevitably will be good. I mean, there are going to be more experiences, and there are going to be more work for professionals, and I agree with her that maybe at some point we will have some issues like hiring people. We already have that in the sense that if you want to do a small budget shooting now, it's not so easy to find technicians, let's say. Which, on the other hand, is good because that means that there is more need now. So the market will expand. There are more people are training, and in long term, that will be a positive. I do believe that it can be a positive thing. Not automatically, let's say, in the sense that there is a lot of work that still needs to be done by us Greeks in this way that, like, in the education and the way the movies that we make, and especially the way we will communicate with the audience. Let's say the way we win them to come to the cinemas or to watch Greek productions on TV or streamings and everything. That's a challenge that we have to face. But that's, I would say, a little bit different story. For now, let's have more technicians, let's have more movement and work, and then let's face the other challenges as we go.
Okay. Once you develop your movie and you have it and you made the magic that you paid for it, or you're going to be paying for it and everything else, how do you promote it either in Greece or outside Greece? Let's start with you, Siamak.
I mean, that field is changing radically, as you would know. The streaming world, especially, it was already there, and COVID just amplified it far more, has changed the rules of the game, and everybody is now in ways like trying to understand how this new world works. So that's a question that we all have. I think, again, being a positive or optimistic person, let's say, I would say that it's an opportunity because maybe at the end of the day, even though cinemas are going through crisis now, but there are more people watching all kind of things. So in that sense, the promotion, if it finds a way to reach these new platforms, it will be good. I would say that festivals are still crucial for these kind of films, as they give more visibility. And social media, of course, we will have to learn how to play with it. I think I would consider myself a bit, even though it's my first film, a bit older. So the older generation is still sort of rusty to get to understand this new world. But I can see now the new generation, they are doing much better work with social media and everything. So there's another opportunity there. And maybe the others can say more. But I'm learning now.
Dimitra?
About promotion. Okay, I mean, like, what is interesting nowadays, because of what is going on with the pandemic, is, or not only for that reason, is that you have direct access to the audience, let's say, through social media, through all these channels which are available. And on the one hand, you have the festival, and on the other hand, you have your, let's say, own channels like Vimeo channels or VOD platforms you can use and create your own, let's say, content or your own small selection. I think that the crucial word is a curated program. People are having too many opportunities and too many things to watch, and they are lost somehow. And I think that if the program is curated, both fiction and documentaries, it's much easier to navigate. So people would go to where they trust. That's why festivals, for instance, are so interesting and growing. And I'm talking about mainly documentary festivals, which is my field and which I know best. It's interesting how also, let's say, a festival like in Thessaloniki or a festival CPH Docs, which was now in Copenhagen, is growing and growing every year and having bigger audiences, because people need this curated content. So it's not one way, it is like the different ways, like social media and all this buzz for promotion is important, very important. Then again, you have the festivals, we have the VOD platforms, which also do their jobs. There is a personal work involved, this is for sure. It is very much important to do, let's say, this work, to stick out. I see that when working for other colleagues in the rest of Europe, to help them, let's say, stick out, how important it is, let's say, to reach out for journalists, to make them aware that there is the content, the film is good, because even them, they have 300 films in a festival and they get lost. And if they get in, let's say, an email with a press kit and an interesting film which was already on the festival, they pick this film to write about. So it is like, so that means that the filmmakers should have and do much more work themselves. So it's a very complex environment, which is again asking us makers to be much more aware and be there working also in that field. It's not only about, it was funny, I was giving as a tutor lecture yesterday, and I was telling the filmmakers, you reach your audience starting from day 0 when you try to put your funds together. This is your first audience, your fundings, because you have to convince them to give you the money to make the film. So the audience doesn't come at the end of the filmmaking, it comes right in the beginning. So it's a whole interesting world, and very, very interesting, especially now that everything is online or still online. A lot of cinemas will shut down, unfortunately. It's a big shift going on, but the audience should be first place in the development already there, and we should, let's say, think of it, not at the end where we have the film ready and the festival, let's say, selection ready, but right from the beginning, reach out and build up this audience. And I mean, like Siamak and you, Thelyia, I'm sure you have so many materials and extra stuff you produce during the filmmaking period. All that stuff should be in the audience development reinvested. So it's really a big subject. But I mean, like you asked me, but I'm working on that subject. So that's why I'm so insightful.
No, thank you. That's a very good. I like the way you presented that you start from day one, that your funding also becomes your first audience because they have to like what you present in the way they see the vision you have in order to go see the movie. Thelyia, can you give us your input on that? Thelyia?
I have a connection problem.
Well, we can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. So yes, I do. Definitely, I agree with Dimitra. To have a strategy from the beginning, it's a must. I think that's what's lacking in Greece. There is, we are not thinking about selling our films. We're just thinking about, because we don't have the time and we don't have the energy, we're just thinking only about like making the films, which is, and it's a difficult experience for everybody, especially the people that are doing features. Of course, shorts are easier to make, features a different story. I do strongly believe we need people to do this, not filmmakers. Other strategies, film strategies, promote people that are doing sales, promotions, people that know promotion and PR to do this job for us and let us just make the film. And then I think we're going to be able to attract more people in the movie theaters, which is something that is necessary. And I think it's something that we need to work towards it. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Thelyia. My next thing I'd like to ask, and I'll start probably with Thelyia, it will be like a combination of a couple of questions together, is I know you're planning, everybody has a future plan, and I know you're planning to jump into the full feature movies hopefully soon. Can you, each one of you, give us what are you thinking going to be your future plans in filmmaking? You're planning to do a full feature? What do you have? Whatever you can say. I know some things you cannot discuss, but whatever you can discuss in here or you can tell with us will be great. And also, if you could tell us, what is your favorite Greek or Cypriot movie that you enjoy? Other each other's movies. We understand you like all each other's movies, but besides that, tell us what other movies a Greek or Cypriot movie, it's one of your favorites, or a couple. It's opening. We don't have to give us one or two. So go ahead, Thelyia. Can you start, please?
Well, about my favorite movies.
Well, that and also tell us what are your future plans. Are you? I know through your you told us that you're planning to do your soon or whenever it'll be a full feature film, which kind of goes away from the short films you do. So it's going to be your new experience. Tell us a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I'm in the process of funding my first feature film. It's going well. I'm planning to shoot it this Christmas time. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to gather the money until then. And I'm in the process of finding my lead actor. Yeah, it's a very exciting and very scary time, but yeah, it's fun.
Thelyia, are you able to share a theme or any sort of color of what your feature film will be about, without giving out too many details, but any sort of?
It's fine. It's based on a book.
On a book?
Of a Greek author. His name is Augustus Cortot. And I developed a script based on this book. That book is called A Small Chronicle of Madness. That's the name. A Small Chronicle of Madness.
Sounds enticing, the title alone from the book. What are your favorite Greek or Cypriot movies? Some of them.
Lately, I think the movies that I'm a great fan, and I'm kind of obsessed with, is the short films that are coming from new young Greek directors. I think we can see great talent. We can observe great talent by just watching these films from Konstantina Kodjamani, from Jacqueline Ledju, from you know, I don't want to forget anybody. I mean, there's so many great Greek directors that are their work and their talent is evident in their short film, and I want to see that you know, go to the feature with that kind of strength and that kind of talent. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Dimitra?
Oh yes, okay. So the question was a combination, so let me start with okay, first of all, I will stay and be loyal to documentaries, creative documentaries, full stop. Or I don't know. I mean, like, if I see the work Chloe Zhao did on Nomadland, I am so fascinated on what she did with, of course, with real actors, and on the other hand, how she worked with real people and how she mingled that and made her latest film. And I'm talking about this film because everybody, I'm sure, in the panel and in the audience who's listening to us has a reference and can, let's say, understand what I'm talking about. How fascinating these stories are of real people, and I'm obsessed on these stories to capture and find people who have a passion, who are different, who inspire us, and who, let's say, show us a way in a period where we need this desperately. Or I don't know, was it before like that too? But I have this feeling that we need, let's say, kind of pioneers or people who do it differently or have another point of view in life. So my next film will be a documentary, a creative documentary. It is very difficult to make portraits. It's going to be a portrait of a very special person. I don't really want to spoil it, say too much, because
you don't have to.
I'm in this very creative process on how to script a person's life. It's difficult, it's fragile, and on the other hand, I don't want it to be very explanatory, you know, to people who talk and tell you things about their life, because it's a film. You need to show it. And when you have a combination of an art science technology person who is also a bit older and who is really, really young in every sense, then it is very, very triggering how you will capture it. The moment I know how to do it, I'm again missing something and losing it. It's a very interesting procedure in which I am into now. There are many great women directors, short film and feature film directors who are also very interesting people. Sofia Exarchou, Kozamani, Thelyia, which I didn't know. I mean, like I've seen the film, but I didn't know her. And I'm really excited, and that we take this space and let's say show the world through our eyes. And it's not the topics; it is like the view. And I appreciate the Siamak's look, of course, and let's say other looks, but I think that there is a special look on things if you have, let's say, female eyes, a different look, interesting look, and that is interesting for me to see these differences and observe them also. What there were 3 questions, I think.
Actually, there are two, like your favorite
Okay.
films,
Yes.
you know, not just directors, but also films.
Yeah, okay. And from the documentary world, I will pick up a foreign documentary. Okay, excuse me. It's from the Iran also. It's called Radiograph of a Family. It's a hybrid film. It's amazing, and it won. You will find it in the next occasion, in the next festival, because it has been everywhere. It's a family story together, mixed together with the history of a country, very nicely made and captured through the director, who is the daughter of this family. So, of course, I'm looking forward to see Eva Stefani's new film, which I adore as a documentarist filmmaker, as a real artist. And I will quote her saying that documentary filmmaking has much more to do with poetry than journalism. And I'm talking as a person who is a journalist in his background. It's a very, very interesting and coming up, let's say, way of independent filmmaking. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Dimitra. Siamak?
Yeah, maybe there are very many, of course, but maybe to follow my thoughts, as I said, this task that I believe that we have as filmmakers to reach the Greek audience as much as we can. So there were a couple of films that came out recently, Greek films, that actually did that. I was very pleased to see that. Last year, Thelyia was a big success in Greece. It was a Greek film about a songwriter, famous songwriter called Thelyia, which means happiness. And it came out the same period that Star Wars came out. And actually it topped the box office in Greece, which for me was a very, very welcome sign that film, even though the subject matter at times was hard, it was a very pleasant film to watch. At the same time, there were issues there and were like serious matters about life and death and everything in the film, but it managed to reach the audience. And I consider it the way to go. And the same thing happened with Etemadi's latest film called The Ballad of the Purest Heart. That it came out in one cinema, people really responded well. Then COVID shut down the cinema, and it came out this summer in summer cinemas in Greece. And it again was the top of the box office in Greece, a Greek production, which for me was again a very welcome sign. So, which I felt that it is our responsibility to reach the audience, no matter how hard or how daunting it is. No, but my future projects, I also, because of the COVID and the way we spent indoors and everything, I had actually my next feature project, kind of the script sort of being in the development. But then the COVID happened and I had more time, and I happened to meet a fascinating young man, Aris, who is doing a fascinating research. He's finishing his studies in psychology, and as for thesis, he decided to study the stereotypes that exist in the erotic life of disabled people in Greece. He's a disabled man himself. He's a young man with ambitious dreams and everything, and I'm following him in his quest. And that has become the documentary that we also had the support of the Greek Film Center through this emergency program called COVID-19. And we are also now in the process of shooting and financing it, which is the next project, let's say. And I'm also writing, so that's my story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maria?
No, this is great. This issue, this topic of who is your audience is something that we hear all the time and comes back in different forms of who is your audience and how are you, how does that inform your work? So,
and with that, one common denominator a lot of times we have with our audiences that we have, they always ask us, hey, I missed to come to the festival to see this movie or whatever. How do I get to see it again? And really, this is the hardest part we have, because really there isn't any way other than say, here's the name or the email of the director, see if they can get to see it. There isn't really, with the exception of few movies, that actually people can see it down the line, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line. If somebody wants to see your movie, how do they go about seeing it? And that's a common question that we get a lot of times from our people. Does anybody have any answer to that, or can you help us out, or is there a solution to that? Is it possible? Siamak,
Would you repeat the question? No, yeah. But
yeah, the question is, if somebody, let's say 3 months from now, wants to see your movie, other than being in the theater, how do people down the line, 3 months down the line, a year down the line, how do they get to enjoy your movie? Are they going to be out on DVDs? Is it going to be down online on some sort of a pay-per-view thing? What are your vision of that? What are you thinking of your movie to maintain its name rather than just being done? You went to 5 festivals, and then after that, to a new project, and that movie is out, and people who wanted to see it, they can no longer see it. How do we overcome that?
I think, as you said, I think the streaming is the answer, video on demand. I mean, despite all its, let's say, the problems that we had, because as a filmmaker, you always, especially if you do a cinematic work, you want it to be in a cinema and appreciate it there because it is made for the big screen. But still, this video on demand or streamings is the way to go, and the movie is gonna be there, hopefully, for months and years to come. And maybe to go back to the discussion that we had earlier, it's also partly also our responsibility, not so much as a director, maybe in collaboration with your production company or with to promote the film, to kind of find a way to kind of have that somewhere for people who want to watch it, let's say like Facebook pages or other social medias, that this was a film that was made 2 years ago. It was received fairly well. Now it is still on the video on demand and you can reach it. So kind of putting as much visibility as you can, or as Dimitra had this beautiful idea of using actually the footage that we had and kind of making, again, even a news story, and from time to time for the audience that you already have, to keep the flame burning, let's say, and then for them to go to a streaming service or VOD to watch it, I would say.
Dimitra?
Great.
I think that thank you, Siamak, for that. I have enough material to make a third version of Good Morning, Mr. Fotis and Passage to Europe. I don't have the funding, of course, but there is enough material which could be very, very interesting to edit, and some of it is already edited, but it was not in the film, but could be used. I mean, like, the way to keep the audience is that there are many possibilities, because we are out there, you know, we have web pages, we are online, we are on Facebook, on Instagram. So the films, or Good Morning, Mr. Fotis is already on Vimeo, but Passage to Europe would be, of course, and much more festivals for now, and then be also available on Vimeo. But if I succeed with subtitles, not only in English but also in other languages, it is our let's say duty as a filmmaker to keep this relation to the audience. I think that I don't want to give it to somebody to do it for me. I will I need to do it myself, let's say, to have this interaction, because this interaction feeds me for my next project, for my thoughts, for how I see the world. And it's a giving and taking. So for sure, and if somebody wants to see the film, it would be online at some certain points very soon.
Good to know.
Thelyia?
Yeah, I think the online situation is our solution to this problem. Of course, yeah, right now, because the films are new and they're traveling to festivals, we cannot have them online permanently. But I think later, yes, why not? Meanwhile, if somebody wants to see our films, why not? Yeah, to contact with us through an email, it's fine, for me at least.
I'm sorry, since you mentioned it, for example, now Pari is actually, we received this email, is now being shown after you guys in the Los Angeles Greek Film Festival.
Yes,
they are
exactly.
actually, they're screening it there now. So for the American audience, your film too, exactly. So
Yeah.
for people who are hearing us now, and if they're curious to see the films, if they haven't, so there's a second opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the film festival is a venue, but after that is what happens to the movie, and that how to keep it alive and going more than just the life of the festival. That's the challenge for you to do. Maria, do you have any questions, or we have any questions from the audiences?
No, I don't. And I just wanted to say, like, we're getting up at the hour here, but if you wanted to make any final closing comments to us or to our audience, please feel free to do so right now, and we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for having Bella in your festival. Made us really happy, and thank you for this conversation, and of course for the award.
Yes.
Dimitra?
I would like to say the same. It has been such a joy when I got the email that you selected my film, and it had this opportunity to have an audience in the United States, and I get some emails from people I don't know, and it is so fascinating to interact with people who see your work and who you are through your work. This is all new to me, and it was a great opportunity that you gave to the film at the San Francisco Greek Film Festival. So I hope you continue with this great work, and that you had us today at the panel, again, giving us another opportunity to get to know us now a bit better, the three of us and you, and also to interact with other people, and they can see what we said afterwards at YouTube. It's all that is important. Thank you very much.
That's very sweet. Thanks. Siamak?
Yes, I mean, thank you, especially at this period. COVID has been like a nightmare for festivals, so I can imagine how much work, and it was like, it wasn't an easy to make a festival happen. So kudos to you guys. I really hope that I have the opportunity, or we all, to meet you guys up close at another version of the festival, when you do it the way you usually do, with audience, with everything, and to appreciate everything up close at any capacity. Loads of luck with everything that you do.
Thank you. Well, the feeling is mutual. Yeah, Dimitra, yes.
Can I add something? It might be an interesting idea. I mean, like, okay, you can't repeat all the festival, of course, but since you picked up our films and gave them an award, it would be great if you make a special screening, and I would be delighted to take the plane and come. I would come tomorrow morning.
You mean a physical screening?
Yes, next year in the next festival, for the films which were awarded and had no audience and no physical screening. I think this might be another world premiere.
I love it. I love the enthusiasm, Dimitra. We love it. And what we can say is that, we don't know what the future holds, but what we can say is that, we will continue to do our best to do what we can to support all of you. And we just had our 18th anniversary, and whatever form and shape the festival will take in next year, whether it's hybrid or fully in person, it remains to be seen, but we will continue to do our best to bring Greek and Cypriot films to the world, really. So with that, let me see here what came in. Oh, we have comments of bravo to all of the filmmakers on here from people that are watching us. So, with that, thank you for the opportunity to screen your films. Thank you for being here today, and best of luck with all of your future endeavors. And we definitely hope that we are able to meet again in one form or fashion. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.